Welcome back to AM Northwest. Our first guest is celebrating 20 years as a casting director, and in that time she's made a name for herself both here and abroad. She just returned from Rome where she rubbed elbows with Italian film royalty. Here to tell us more, we welcome back casting director Lana Veenker. Good to have you back again.
Thank you.
20 years.
I know, I can't believe it. How did it go by so fast?
I don't know. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So tell me about how you started.
I traveled all around the world for about 10 years before I came back to my hometown, which is Portland.
Yeah.
And I figured I was going to have to move to LA or New York to continue working in casting. I'd gotten a job at a casting office in London. And when I moved back to Portland, I thought, well, I'm going to have to move somewhere where there's a film industry. But then somebody found out I had done some casting and hired me for a commercial. And then they hired me again, and 20 years later, I'm still here.
And didn't you were doing another job when you started that casting director job? When
well,
you started
to make
casting,
money,
yeah.
Because I lived overseas for a long time, I speak a couple different languages. And so I was teaching at the Berlitz Language School.
Wow.
And when I got these calls about casting some commercials, I ended up, doing a little bit of work in the back room at the Berlitz Language School.
That is great. I love that.
Using their foot. Well, that was back in the days too, before, like when the talent agents used to drop off packets of headshots.
Right.
Now we just send it all electronically.
Right.
But back then they would come and I would say, oh, just deliver it to the Berlitz School and, don't let my boss see you.
Just drop it off. Talk about some of the favorites that you've done. For instance, let's talk Twilight. You casted for Twilight.
Twilight was such a crazy project because it went viral around the world. And when people found out about our casting calls, obviously we were trying to find Northwest actors and also some of the Native American actors that we searched for on reservations throughout the Northwest and the Southwest.
Yeah.
We got calls from all around the world, and I ended up having to change my home phone number and almost installed a security system. People were crazy about that project.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. What is one of your favorites? One that stands out to you?
Wild was probably one of the most beautiful ones we worked on. It was I loved the book. And I really wanted to work on it, and I knew that they would be coming to Oregon, so I started, tracking the producers down way early just to make sure our name was in the running.
Right.
And I was so grateful to have worked on that project. It was beautiful.
You also did Leverage.
And that was one of the first TV series to come back to Oregon after there hadn't been any here for forever. And the producers weren't sure that we had the talent pool to sustain a show. Dean Devlin. And so they asked me, meet with him in his offices in LA and see if you can convince him that you have actors. And so, I kind of winged it and said, oh, sure, we can do that, and then I had to come back and deliver. And
but we do have a great pool of actors.
We do, yes.
Talented actors.
Especially, yes, and it's just done nothing but grow because of all these productions that have started coming here, kind of starting with Leverage, and then people realized, oh, we can do TV and film in Oregon, and they just started all coming. And so our talent pool has gotten deeper and stronger and more savvy, and so they're now competing for big roles, like this Netflix series we're working on, Trinkets. A couple local actresses are series regulars on that show, and we have lots of other recurring actors. And
it brings money into our city and state.
It does, and that those kind of roles would not have been available to local actors 20 years ago.
No.
Like back then, they would be like, you can cast security guard number 3,
right,
and the waitress,
right.
But we weren't getting a shot at. Now we tell them, let us, give us a shot because maybe you'll find your lead actor locally, and then you don't have to pay for travel and hotels and
all
per
of
diem. And it's been working, and we're getting a lot of local actors into projects.
What are some of the keys to good casting?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's the thing that I like about it is that it takes both sides of the brain. So you need that right side of the brain, the creative side, to take the director's vision and turn it into a real person. Really trying to understand what they want, bring performances out of actors, so having that directing skill, acting skill, to be able to talk to actors in a language they understand. But also being very organized because you have this library of actors and you need to know who they are and which agency they're with and what their skills are and who's the right fit, and being able to do all the contracts and deal memos and paperwork. So there's the whole organizational side that appeals to the intellectual side of my brain, and then the creative side. So it's very challenging. And
two, you probably know a lot of actors in town, and so you, after so many years now, I'm guessing without even and having them audition who'd be great for a role.
Yeah, definitely when we read a script, sometimes we're like, oh, yeah,
That's
we know
for so-and-so.
exactly. You know, we still have to kind of go through the motions and show them, you know, a selection of people. But
Right.
then in our hearts, we're kind of like, this role was made for this person. And, you know, oftentimes that's how it'll turn out. And sometimes we get surprised, but, you know.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Speaking of leverage, then you also did The Librarians.
We did that for several seasons. And, you know, these shows are just so great because it gives these actors opportunities to really bulk up their resumes. A lot of them then, you know, have done like Leverage and The Librarians and then gone off to LA to launch their careers
Right.
down there. I know we've found some actors, you know, even in open casting calls, like we did a Harrison Ford film and the young actor that we cast as one of the lead roles has now gone on to do play a series regular for Nickelodeon.
That's
you know,
so
I mean,
great.
it's fun to watch.
And Grimm was a great TV show shot
It
here.
was 6 seasons, and like we cast everybody within a 300-mile radius
Yeah.
on that show.
Yeah, I think
you know,
everyone
towards
I
the
know has
end.
been in there.
Yeah. And it was so great. You know, one of the things that we really like about TV is that you develop a relationship with the producers and directors over the years in a way that's different from a film that just comes once maybe, and then that same team maybe doesn't come back to Oregon.
Right.
But with the TV series, you know, and they're coming back season after season, we just develop, it's like a family, so.
Well, and I love that the actors that don't live here and come to live here during that become a part of the community.
Totally,
Yeah.
and a lot of them buy houses, and
Right.
then they, you know, they do a lot of volunteer work, or they come back
Yeah.
to do theater, for sure.
Yeah. American Vandal.
That was another huge one. Teenagers were crazy about that
Yeah.
one, and we again, our casting call went viral. We were getting, you know, people contacting us, kids contacting us from around the world, wanting to be on that show. But we filled it out with local actors, a lot of teenagers. And that one was a big hit. And again, like the new Trinkets one that we're doing now
Yeah.
for Netflix, is also a lot of young people and a lot of diversity. Like they've given us a lot of leeway to bring in people with disabilities and
That's so great.
transgender actors and just like bring everything. We love it. And so that's so much fun for us.
Congratulations on 20 years.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
That's
Yes, thank you.
fantastic. All right, if you'd like to find out more, we'll put information on our website at KATU.com. Coming up next, how to make beautiful arrangements that will last through Thanksgiving. And there's not a flower in sight. Stick around.